TMNT?
TMNT?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to watch it this week, which is really frustrating.
Oh,
'cause I
are
was
we
really
on?
looking forward
Oh,
to
we live? Hello, everyone, again.
No, we didn't stop. We never stopped.
I thought...
This is all gonna just be put together. So yeah, we are.
so you got videos of me.
So I'm cutting these as we go into different sections,
okay.
which is incredibly hard with Damien because Damien goes off on tangents and talks about Christopher Nolan every time we talk about something.
Man is a
joking.
genius.
We
might as well do...
Yeah. So So what did you think of TMNT?
Oh, right. So, yeah, I saw this the other day. I have an Odeon, do a bit of plugging here for Odeon. But I have an Odeon.
I like the look of it. We're just watching the trailer.
Yeah.
I thought what we do from this podcast is that we don't sit there and watch it. We talk over it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet, have you?
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer?
It gives me very Spider-Verse vibes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right. So, you know, this is going to be spoiler free because Jason's not seen it.
I want to see it. Yeah.
It's very it's definitely a fresh take on the Turtles. It's very energetic. The art style is very vibrant. Like you said, it's very
Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Jackie Chan. The casting is brilliant. You can see Ice Cube, Post Malone, and all these people have been cast in the roles.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is actually in it a lot more than I thought he would be. I really enjoyed it, and I thought what was refreshing is they actually got teenagers to play the Turtles, so they feel like teenagers. They even use current, teenage lingo like Riz, which I sound so old saying that.
I don't even know what that means.
I was like saying if you've got game, so like
really?
If you've got Riz, it's like have you got game. So, no, I enjoyed... I thought the relationship between the four Turtles was very believable. I think Seth Rogen's nailed it with getting across what four teenager boys would be like hanging out. The conversations they have are very teenage boy-like, which when you watch it, you'll think, like, these are the sort of conversations I had as a teenager with my friends and things like that.
What's the age restriction on this then?
I think it's a PG.
Oh, it's not the conversations I would have had then.
PG.
Mine was more
your PG conversations.
Mine was more the in-betweeners.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very frantic, very energetic. Art style was brilliant. I thought it was refreshing. It was nice they did something different with the art style. Pretty much what you would expect from a Seth Rogen movie. It's done really well on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's like in the 90s, 96%. It's the highest rated turtle film bar. There was a Batman versus TMNT movie that came out a couple of years ago, but it has 100%, but I don't know how many people reviewed it.
Right.
Yeah, so for me though, the best turtle film will always be the 1990 film, but that's more for nostalgia probably. I did watch it leading up to watching this movie.
You watched the three?
I watched all three, yeah.
Yeah. And is that like people in like Jim Henson outfits and that? The
first two films were done by where the suits were provided by Jim Henson. I think it was one of the last films he worked on before he passed away. They based the first Turtle movie on pretty much the first comic. I think they nailed the story. I think they nailed the tone. I think it was of a time period when during the 80s and 90s you could get away with making really dark kids films like Gremlins, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm trying to think of The Goonies, where you could get away with
Stand By Me,
scaring kids basically, and you don't get those sort of films anymore.
Yeah, and was the one where they found the dead person on the
Stand By Me? Yeah,
that's great.
But you could get away with
what's the one where they play baseball? The Lot or something. And they get lost over the fence, and I can't remember. That film scared me.
Well, I think you could get away with even. I think a film like Home Alone, the first Home Alone, probably wouldn't get made now, with some of the stuff that happens in it, and well, not in the way that I think they did a Disney one. They made a new. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, waffling. pull me back in.
Just gonna do this every time.
Pull me back in.
Can I pull you back? Because I want to I want to ask you a really important question actually. What made the '90s one dark, and what makes this one fresh?
What do you mean dark and
the '90s one that you said they can get a lot away with a lot of it? What kind of things?
Well, Shredder gets crushed and blood spews
really?
out when he gets crushed into the
Really?
dumpster at the end. Yeah, and
I might watch this.
so basically, the first 1990s Turtle film, they used their weapons, and
That wasn't very
there
good.
was a lot of backlash from parents saying it was too violent. There's a bit where Raphael gets thrown through a roof. Are you looking it up?
This
This
is a podcast.
Yeah, if you look up the ending of the 1990 film, basically the parents complained that the first film was too dark and too violent, and that's not the trailer.
It's a podcast. You got to keep talking.
So anyway, you just type in the
Damien,
final Turtles
just
battle.
talk.
Oh,
just
okay.
talk. Let
Okay.
me produce. Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
So I'm just looking at the aesthetics here.
I don't
it's
think
not like a color palette that is very.
It was of the time when like New York, people thought in New York was like really dangerous in the 90s and the 80s.
It's got a really weird aesthetic to it, doesn't it? It's almost like. It's almost got like an 80s horror vibe.
Well, it was produced by an independent film company. I think up until that point, it was the highest grossing independent movie of all time, and basically it was too dark or too violent for parents. So the second movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Secret of the Ooze, they completely did a 180 and made it really vibrant, colourful. The turtles didn't use their weapons. The jokes were very slapstick.
So if I go a bit further on, it is.
So this is
yeah,
an
you
example
can see the difference in the.
It's a lot brighter. The turtles masks are a lot brighter.
Yeah.
There's very silly. At the beginning, everyone's eating pizza. It's just it's completely did a 180.
Yeah.
And then you've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which is Turtles in Time, is where they go back in time, and Jim Henson's company didn't produce the masks, the costumes. You can tell from the faces that the masks are awful. The writing's terrible. Look, I mean, as a kid, I loved it. I thought it was a really silly film. I just enjoyed there being Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But are
you a big fan of the property then?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a kid. So the 1990
Oh, I
film was
really don't like the aesthetic of that.
Yeah. The masks look drastically different, and the mouths wouldn't move with what they were. The mouths wouldn't move with what they were saying. It's not a great film.
It looks weird. I kind of like
and
it.
it basically killed the franchise movie-wise because they didn't bring another one out until I think like 2007.
Right.
But yeah, that was the end of the third film. So I love the first 1990 film, and I think the only thing that I had with this film, the only issue I had with this film was it was a fresh take, but I do think it differed from the source material a little bit too much for me in a way, and it just bothered me a little bit. So
yeah, for those who, well, you won't, but I've known you for 10 years now. You've been my closest friend for a long time. With films, a film could be amazing, and you could hate it because it veers from source material. I'm over exaggerating slightly, but you do find that quite important, don't you?
I think
I feel like that's sometimes some of your primary, like you hated Batman vs Superman. Because you couldn't, we're not going to talk about it, but I'm just going to say for the for reference is that you hated it because you just couldn't get on board with the fact that it was so different and the characters were so different from what they kind of were.
Yeah, I think the way I'm trying to look at this movie is it's as if the Turtles came out in 2023, and the origins are slightly different. The relationship. some of the relationship between. I can't really say because it's. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think if this is your first experience of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think it's a great introduction. Is it completely comic faithful? There are parts, yeah, and parts no. So there was some. I just had a few slight issues with it, but I mean, I would give it 4.5.
I'm really excited to see it.
I think it was a really fun, energetic film. It's very light-hearted. I think the action's fantastic in it.
Is it funny?
Yeah, I think it's funny. Yeah.
Is it funnier than Barbie?
Different funny.
Yeah. Which one's your favourite? Because you've got
Raph.
So
Raph's always been my favourite, but not in this version.
Talk me through which one's which.
One of the things that annoyed me.
Okay, thanks for answering my question.
No, this is related to what you're saying.
Right.
So Donnie is the one in the purple. Donatello, he's the one with the staff. Yeah. I think they got the voices wrong. I think the voice when you watch this film, I don't know, you big on the Turtles?
No, I'm not a big. I've watched. I watched the 2010 one. Is that right?
Yeah, the animated Michael Bay ones.
I thought it was no. There was one before that was like a CG one.
Yeah.
And then I watched the Michael Bay ones. Again, like you said, very interesting that you talked about tone change, but like Michael Bay's first one like felt quite serious, and then the second one was really goofy because I just felt the profile of the villains were very silly, and
yeah, I think they tried to go back to the animated series.
Yeah. Whereas
the first one, I think they tried to base it on the comics.
Yeah. I think I'd like Michael Bay a lot if I was a kid.
Yeah.
I find that now that I'm older and more like, I suppose, there's more pretension in my scope of films that I do find them less appealing. Like with the Transformers, I can't get myself through a Transformers film.
No. I did watch the most recent one, and it was a slog.
Well, it's funny because I'm veering off the. You're gonna have to pull me in, but just really quickly, a lot of critics are very sniffy about Michael Bay, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Just generally, they don't really like. I thought Pain and Gain was a brilliant film.
I love Pain and Gain. I think it was
good. I'm glad because I thought it was a really good film as well.
You almost wouldn't think it was a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, but the new Transformers, which I'm not interested in whatsoever, is getting better reviews. I feel like. Just because
he didn't direct it.
Yeah. Just because he didn't direct it. I think it's like, and like Bumblebee
got good reviews as well.
I thought that was bang average.
I don't think I saw Bumblebee.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
But going back to the Turtles, Donnie is the purple one.
Yeah.
With purple, his voice I think should have been Mikey's voice based on their characters. So you've got Leonardo's the leader, who's in blue. He's the one with the
Is he the one with anger issues?
No, that's Raph. Raph is the one with anger issues. In
the red one.
Yeah. Then you got
the clever one.
Yeah, so
Michelangelo's
the party dude. Donnie is your smart one. So Donnie's in purple. Donatello's in purple. He's the smart one.
Yeah, because Donatello looks really like nerdy in the Michael Bay ones, doesn't he?
Yeah, they've done that since the last two iterations of the film. They've given him glasses, which I think is a bit like, well, if you've got glasses, that makes you really clever. I mean, or
bring in the stereotypes. Yeah.
Stereotypes, yeah. Mikey is sort of like your chilled party dude, very immature, and I think Donnie's voice would have suited Michelangelo better. Leonardo's your leader, and then Raph's the one who's got anger issues. But I really enjoyed the film, and I think it's a really fun family film. And I think it's a refreshing take on the Turtles. There's just a few things that bothered me a little bit slightly in terms of the direction they chose to go with certain things. But I mean, maybe once you've seen it, I can bring those up with you.
Is that woke?
No, nothing to do with that. It's the storytelling choices. But I think it's more of.
I love the visual style. I really do.
I have to bring it up.
I mean,
next
just
time
this frame, like when you can stop a frame and have a look at it, like it's. I just find it really intriguing. Some of the like this frame looks like plasticine. Like what's that plastic kind of Wallace and Gromit-esque kind of vibe to it? You know, really.
It's very
expressive.
Dynamic. It's very dynamic. The CG in it.
Yeah, and then this is very and the
if
frame.
You notice, there's a lot of lines around the movement.
There's a clear frame rate change as well, which I don't really like. I didn't notice it as much in the new Across the Spider-Verse, but in the first Spider-Verse film, I felt like the adjustment in frame rates really.
I mean, I hope it does well, because I'd love to see the sequel, and they do tease who's going to be in the sequel, which I'm looking forward to seeing what that take would be on. I think it's a very enjoyable film that I would recommend for people of all ages, especially fans of the Turtles. Should go and see it.
Nice, mate.
Right, Jason wants to show me a very cool video.